Today, I'd like to see if I could explain the Swiss National Bank's carry trade a little bit better than yesterday. I apologize. I do these things free form. It's one of the things I decided in the beginning I would only do them if I could free form them instead of sitting there writing everything down. So here we go. Two major concepts. We've talked about them both a lot. They've usually been separate. This time they're together. The first concept is what we call QE, quantitative easing. A central bank prints money. They buy in their own currency, their own bonds, put them on their balance sheet, and then when they stop with QE and they go to QT, they just allow the bonds to come due and they get rid of them. That's what every central bank in the world did since 2009, except for one, and that was the Swiss National Bank. Yes, they had QE. They printed the money, okay? And then they had a decision to make. This is their decision. One, the Swiss franc, they don't want it to go up, okay? And two, they basically had negative interest rates for 7.5 years. So if they printed the money in their own currency and then bought their bonds, they would then drive the interest rates even lower. So if they were negative 0.15, they may go to negative 1.5 or 2%, okay? Go back and look at my videos on the reverse repos for the United States. The reverse repo hit like 3 trillion, now it just went below 300 billion, same concept. The US Treasury did not want that money to go into bonds because we go negative interest rates and they didn't want it, all right? So the Swiss National Bank made a decision. This is the decision. They're gonna take the money, okay, and go and buy a global bond and stock portfolio in other people's currencies. So whatever country they went to buy the stock market, they're in that currency. So the Swiss National Bank, to the commentator, said, hey, they're the Swiss National Bank, get rid of it. Guess what? They have no control. It is outside their purveyance, okay? So they're worried about this a lot, okay? Because one, they're getting no yield on it, but two, they're heavily indebted, right? They're 140%, okay? So they want to get rid of the balance sheet. Look at America. We dropped ours by $1.8 trillion by letting everything run off, and we're still letting things run off. They don't have that ability because everything's overseas. So let's go back the way I always say to look at the issues that we're faced with. So you have a problem, okay, a stress, and then what is the financial engineering that they try to do to fix the stress, okay? So in this case, their stress is that all this money, 800 billion in Swiss francs, a trillion in USD, is in other currencies. And if they say, let's sell our balance sheet and bring the money back home, they're gonna buy their currency, the Swiss franc, drive it up in price. It's highly deflationary. What do we mean by deflationary? You drive it up, they're not competitive, or your recession starts, it's deflationary, okay? That's the whole concept. They don't wanna do that under any circumstances. So look at what the remedies were in the article, in the video yesterday. One, they said, well, why don't we give this $1 trillion to the Swiss people? Okay, great things for the Swiss people, except for one thing. It doesn't solve the central bank's problem. Because then if each individual Swiss person sold their stocks, guess what would happen? They would bring it back and buy the Swiss franc. Again, a no-go. So that kind of doesn't work. Then they said, well, why don't we start a sovereign fund and we'll put the $1 trillion in the sovereign fund. I don't know, I've never heard this before. It kind of reminds me of the bad bank, right? So everyone acts like, oh, let's say UBS creates a bad bank, which they own 100%, but we don't look at all the bad assets. I don't get it. So the Swiss are caught, right? They don't know what to do. Look at the two financial engineering things they came up with. I mean, if I can knock them down in 10 seconds, anybody can knock them down in 10 seconds. So the Swiss, by looking at their currency, negative interest rates and a very stable currency, all right? This is what we use for a carry trade, except that the Swiss bank is the carry trade. They are the carry trade. They have $1 trillion that they have in a low yielding currency, the Swiss, and they went out and they bought other stuff. Now, they didn't do a good job. They point out they're only up 0.4 over the last 5 years. Someone pointed out they didn't buy the American stock market, probably 100% correct. I thought of the same thing. So what do? I don't know. Now, just to throw another monkey wrench into everything, think about this. They did it with their electronic Swiss franc, which has so if they print, quote unquote, an electronic Swiss franc, there is no corresponding physical Swiss franc. What does this mean? I had no clue. Because this is the first time a central bank printed e-currencies, a digital currency, right, for their buying of, securities. Imagine the United States doing the same things of buying U.S. bonds, right? So how does that all work out? I don't think anyone knows. It's never been done before. This is what people have to realize. We're in an historic time for financials. There are so many things going on, and almost every one of them is historic. This is an issue, okay? So hopefully I explained that a little bit better. Like and follow, and please give me your comments. Thank you very much.